Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to some. I'm Willis representing GlueUp, and we have Matilda here representing the Trademark Group of Companies and the Australian Saudi Business Forum with us. Thank you all for sparing some time and listening to this and viewing this webinar. So we'll get right into it. So, Matilda, could you tell us more about yourself, your role at both the Trademark Group of Companies and the Australian Saudi Business Forum? Also, how do you balance responsibilities between two organizations?
Thank you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Willis and the team at GlueUp. I really appreciate the opportunity. So essentially at Trademark, I'm the Australian Country Director, and we're a global business-to-business platform, assisting businesses scale both nationally but also internationally into emerging markets. So out of our 5 offices globally, I'm the Director of the Australia chapter. And with our Australian Saudi Business Forum, I'm the Executive Assistant to our President, which between both roles keeps me very busy, and which is why we are very fortunate enough to have found GlueUp 2.5 years ago, and implement both of them to our organizations.
Thank you for that, Matilda. And as GlueUp has grown, I see you've grown as well in both your roles, so I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you so
So
much.
just before GlueUp, what software applications did you and your teams use for both organizations?
Absolutely. I'll be completely honest. We used HubSpot Starter and Google Sheets or Excel.
Yeah.
So it was obviously as the businesses scaled and we employed more staff. We needed a universal platform where everything could be in the one spot and reachable across the entire team, not just here in Australia but internationally.
I think almost everybody in the professional world, or I can say everybody, has had experience with Excel. It's helpful, but sometimes squinting eyes can
Definitely
just be
serves its
tiresome.
purpose.
Yes, like
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay Excel, but yeah, it's never the funnest thing, just looking line per line item, sometimes searching. So yeah.
Exactly. And the worst part is when you're working on different time zones and you have teams in different areas and they go, "Can you share the link with me because it's expired or they can't edit it?" So, yeah.
Right. And not even different countries. Like, for example, Australia, you guys have so many different time zones, ever changing as well throughout the year. So that's something to keep an eye out.
That's right.
Yeah. What challenges made you realize that you needed to adopt a unified technology system? Were the issues similar in both organizations?
Similar. For us, as our membership with Trademark grew, we definitely needed a system where you would get everything from the simplicity of creating the membership application all the way to being notified when renewals came about, being able to log and view their activity depending on if they went to events or if connections or what sort of value was made. And then naturally, the Australian Saudi Business Forum also developed its own membership base. So we really needed that as well. And I think those regarding the membership bases, but also and control, also the events. The events have been an absolute lifesaver on GlueUp. It's so easy to use. I could not recommend it more. Um, Super easy to use, not too much fluff. They don't ask too many questions, and everyone doesn't have a problem with utilizing it, especially for those potential clients who want to attend the events but maybe aren't super tech savvy. So yeah.
Thank you for your kind words. I think I often say this, or almost every time, if I'm showing the product, the Glue Up product to everybody, it's like there's so many options out there in the market. There are lots of great tools, lots of great features, but I think what's important is finding a tool that you and your team can use. Because at the end of the day, no matter how feature rich a product is, if you and your team can't use it, I think that's the biggest, bottleneck out of all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially 100% agree, especially when it comes to for I'll just as an example, would be hosting an event here in Australia, and my counterpart overseas would then need to finish the draft, and
Mhm.
even and then publish it. Even the simplicity of doing that handover process, it's super simple. I know that there's many other platforms that it can be quite complex. Maybe it's just complex because we're attuned with glue up, but yeah, that's I feel is one of your biggest strong suits at glue up is makes everything very simple, and especially the drafts aspect, it's you can come back to it very seamlessly.
I'm pleased to hear that. I think we want to make it as simple as easy for everybody. And when you were approached implementing Blue Up for both organizations, did you launch at the same pace, or did each organization have a different timeline and adoption process?
From memory, it was primarily going to be for trademark, but then I
Mhm.
think once we understood glue up's full capabilities, it made sense to also adapt it to ASBF. And especially because we wanted the ability for our members to have a virtual connectivity to one another, which is why we then implemented through you guys the app, one for both trademark and one for the Australian Side of Business Forum. So yeah, it made sense. If you've got multiple organizations with a similar structure or um, highlighting and sharing different elements, um, glue ups it.
Thank you. You mentioned just now you've been saving time since you use GlueUp. Uh, could you give us like some example how the integrations, automation, and shared workflows make your like work and life easier compared to juggling two different systems?
Yeah, absolutely. I think primarily the fact that say you have a meeting, you want to log notes. It's very simple to then add tasks for certain team members. Not just here in Australia, which is why it's very useful for us when we have our international teams also able to view those tasks. Um, that's been a very big help. I think also having everything again, the memberships and the events all in the one space, which is super simple to look at what are the upcoming events, what are the drafted events, members. You can understand from a glance, who the members are, how many they are. When their renewal is up, there's got a clear segment of when the expiration is. That saves so much time rather than going through a million different spreadsheets and trying to understand, and especially for I suppose teams that have board members or what have you, just to be able to have a glance. So you're not kind of in the day to day, but you can easily have a glance at the primary elements at the core of your business. Um, that's I think where you save the most time.
Yeah, great to hear. And I like that you said the word glance because not everybody, right, has time or responsibility to get into the platform, do all those things. So I think like for anybody that has access to whatever platform, whatever accounts, sometimes all you need is a glance to know where you are. Because sometimes you get asked questions by your team, like how is your membership doing so far? Is there any outstanding revenue? I think those are very important information that you need to be able to have at a glance. Mhm. And
100%. And even the fact that GlueUp has GlueUp Manager, which is the app on your phone, um, that's a lifesaver. To be able to, yeah, it's great. That's the time is money. And so yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Yeah. Glue Up Manager. Even though it's not as feature rich, but I feel like you can do so much from a mobile device. Now, coming to the human element, right? Was it a challenge to encourage two different teams, the trademark group of companies, and the Australian Saudi Business Forum to switch from their existing systems workflow setup to GlueUp?
I think naturally, when you migrate to a different system, there is an element of hesitancy because even though there's parts of you who that think, okay, well, it could be of value, but you're stuck in your own kind of what works, even if there's room for improvement. But overall, the teams, across both organizations, thought it was very easy to use. We utilized some training with you guys. And I think when you put your mind to it, it doesn't really take that long. Again, coming back to the simplicity of GlueUp, I personally am an iPhone and iOS person, and I love the simplicity of it. I don't like too much customization. Just give me the core elements. And fortunately, a lot of our team are the same. So yeah, at the beginning, a bit of hesitancy, but once they really understood the capabilities and how simple it was to use, and you didn't have to go through hours and hours of training to kind of take away and put your mind to something else, it was super easy to implement.
And I almost say this every time when a client asks me, how long does it setup glue up? Well, it's always depending on your availability
Yeah,
because you need to be available on time, like for training and stuff, and also available mentally. Like as long as you're available, depending on time, because sometimes that's one of the most frequent questions, like how long does it implement? It's always depending on your availability because the glue up team is there. We have training schedules that's there, but yeah, it's always coming back to the team. Do you want to move faster or slower, depending on, again, your availability? Mm.
exactly. And I think it's also very important at the end of the day, if you have something where it can manage your entire database, and memberships and all of the main elements of a business, um, you make the time.
Got it.
And it's hard because
And
you kind of have a lot of options out there, right? And you
yeah,
kind of don't really
exactly.
know where to pull the trigger. So there's a lot of trust in the person who said, yes, let's proceed. But yeah, it's been
That's
great with
correct.
Glow.
That's correct. Like so many different options out there, and more coming. So, did you notice any difference between how GlueUp supports the Trademark Group of Companies and the Australian Saudi Business Forum?
I feel like you guys have always been there whenever we need very quickly. The attention to detail, the check-ins, when we did need something, you guys were always really prompt at making it happen. I think the client care from your aspect is probably one of the biggest benefits of the team at Glue Up. Not to, I haven't had a lot of experience with other CRMs or platforms to manage organizations, but I noticed that you guys are exceeded with that.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I'll pass your message to the team. I believe it'll add fuel to their motivation. I think, sometimes with platforms, like there might be questions or, sometimes you can't access it for different reasons. But I think what's important is accountability. And accountability is just being quick to respond if there's something wrong, like what's wrong, or, a question that you receive, you might not get the answer right away, but, just people answering and making sure you feel heard is very, very important.
Yeah, and exactly. And I feel that even if you guys couldn't get back to me straight away, it was always my question or concern or whatever it was always heard and
Mhm.
acknowledged. And I think when you kind of when you put a lot of trust from your own organizations into a platform, and at the end of the day, technology is technology. If servers are down or what have you, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Um, and people tend to kind of, when they put all that trust in, and it doesn't work or they need the platform to work, you guys were always really understanding and those issues were fixed very quickly. So
Yeah. And that's coming from Matilda, not from you, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And How is your experience and the team's experience when you were onboarding and setting up the platform and going live on both organizations?
Very simple. From our side, very simple. Um, we were able to customize certain elements. Um, I liked initially the structure that was given. I think it's very important when you onboard a client of any kind in any organization to understand their wants and needs, and also identifying very quickly whether the platform can actually work and align with your business. And I think even that's where you guys succeeded with the pre-onboarding phase. I believe it was you and I, Willis,
Yeah,
and we went
exactly.
through every element of trademark to start with, and you were like, yes, we can help with these elements. It may come as glue up as well,
Mm,
progresses and has new features. So yes, definitely the pre-onboarding, but also the onboarding made it very seamless, I think, because you really vetted, you knew confidently that you could support our organization.
I personally, as a salesperson, it's very important to build trust because, rather than always saying, yes, we can do this, yes, there's a workaround, I think it's more important to know what's the no. Like, no, it can't do this, potentially, but it might not behave that way. Because if you know that, then, okay, actually, that's important or that's not important. If it's not so important, you know what? It's a nice to have. So I think it's very important because I think if somebody always says, yes, we can do this, yes, it's kind of a red flag, not only in business, but anything in life. It's too
Exactly.
many yeses, always a red flag.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what features do you find most valuable for the trademark group of companies, and which ones stand out the most for the Australian Saudi Business Forum?
I can say for both organizations, the events memberships, the workflow manager for renewals, and also the all of the automated reminders that come through to that. With trademark, additionally, I think the tasks is very helpful. Um, and with ASBF, additionally, would be the finance system is a big one. Super, super easy to manage, see where it is. Having the Stripe integration, super simple to use. Again, we're all about simplicity. If we master the simplicity of it and have a platform that responds and engages, game changer.
Right, yes. Simple things matter. You don't want to overcomplicate things again in anything aspect at all. And have you received any feedback from colleagues, members, or stakeholders in both organizations about the switch to Glue Up? How do their experiences compare?
All very positive, all very positive, because again, the two main reasons why we came on board as a client of Glue Ups was to manage memberships when you have over 100 members, even you have more than 15 members. How do you identify in one space when their renewal is, what events they came to, what was their activity, what value have we given, and then obviously the same with events, the management. We're between both organizations for 2.5 years. We were running between 3 and 4 events every single month.
Mhm.
So when you're running it like a well-oiled machine, you need something that works. So for the team internally and externally, it was fantastic. And even some of our members, I think I've referred a few people to Glue Up because they're like, how I like this system. Like, where did you find it? And I wanted to know more. So yes, overall, very, very good.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, you made a, a few, not a few, but quite a number of kind introductions. So I really appreciate it. Looking back,
Pleasure.
is there anything you would have done differently during implementation for either organization?
Probably do it sooner. Um, to be honest, I truly can't identify anything that we would have done differently. As I said, we were guided by you guys the entire time. You understand what I had trust that you understood what we needed. Nothing was left out. Um, and you were also very honest and open about when new capabilities and elements of the glue up system comes into place. And you would also personally email saying, I wanted to know if this might be of interest. So again, it's the care factor from your entire team, which will make you go very, very far. So it's been a privilege.
It's our privilege to be able to serve you as well. And on to the final question. What advice would you give to leaders or executives who are managing technology or multiple organizations and considering Glue Up?
Don't consider it anymore. Actually, pull the pin, because especially if you have multiple organizations, you've got a lot of moving parts. You need something that is an overview or a glance, something very simple to use across many different aspects of the business. I highly recommend. It's gone are the days of Excel spreadsheets and what have you. So this is, yeah, I definitely would encourage them to speak to you guys.
Well, you heard it all yourself from Matilda. Again, not words out of me, it's from Matilda. Thank you, Matilda, for your time today. And thank you, everybody. That's about it for today's session. I wish you all a great rest of the day. And once again, thank you, Matilda, for sparing some time.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.